Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know. Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know. Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know.
Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be installing the master cylinder onto the bike, the clutch master cylinder to be exact. So if you already have seen part 1, you're in the right place. This is part 2. If you haven't, it'll be linked down in the description, or it might be on one of the sides here for recommended videos. Go check that out. It will kind of put everything into perspective and kind of explains the reasoning behind doing this. I'll also show those reasons again in this video, but just watch part 1. It's like 10 minutes. It's worth the time, especially if you're wanting to do this to your bike. Full of information. This video, I have done my best to provide all the information possible so that you're not sitting there scratching your head going, how the fuck do you do that, or what part is that, or anything like that. So I don't explain the tools in this video. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to need sockets, Allen keys, something to bleed the system with because you are going to be filling it with air when you change out your master cylinder, and some fluid, which I will go over later in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any comments, questions, or anything, leave them down below and I'll be sure to get back to you on those. And if you guys like this video, find it helpful, or just find it enjoyable, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. So let's head over to the garage. Alright, what's up guys? So today we're going to be doing part 2 of the master cylinder upgrade. We have to make sure that the micro switch is going to work. There are 2 different types of micro switches for the clutch. We're going to make sure those work. If not, we're going to swap over to the new one that we have, and then we'll be able to swap the lever over and then get it installed, bleed the clutch, and then do some testing. So let's go ahead and look at that micro switch. Okay, so I just removed the pivot bolt for the lever. And go ahead, pull the lever off. You can see it's a totally different style from what I have right now. This activates the micro switch. So I'll now go ahead and attempt to remove the micro switch off the wall. Okay, so inside this pivot hole on the bottom, there is this piece of metal. You can see it's got a smaller diameter there, and this goes through the bottom like this, and once that is out, you can pull your micro switch. So pretty much it went like that. So once you have the bolt out, simply put, like I used this tool right here, kind of shoved it in there and just went around the perimeter of it and just tapped it until it came out. So now my micro switch is out. Alright guys, so I just compared the micro switches and all that. It is the same part number on them. They're identical, thread size is the same and everything. The only issue is that the factory one on the 696, the coffin style reservoir, has a bracket that's attached to it. Now I'm going to take the leap and just cut that off. You could potentially bend it downward to get it out of the way in case you weren't sure. I'm just going to cut it off. Alright guys, so here's a micro switch that I was speaking about off the Monster. You see it's got this bracket attached to it so it can stay in place under here. And here is the micro switch that came with the master cylinder that I bought. Identical, same part number, just doesn't have this bracket. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it right there on that line. You could potentially bend it downward, but I feel like that'd be a bigger pain and you might end up breaking the micro switch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and yeah. Alright, so I'm trying to get the lever put on. A little tricky. I might have to use that lever that came with the master cylinder that I bought and send this one to ASV. Okay, so I'm getting ready, I'm getting everything prepped to change the line over. I'm going to take some fluid out of the reservoir so that it doesn't leak everywhere. But when you take off your banjo bolt, which is the bolt that holds on the line, it's got the hole that goes through it. You're going to have your old crush washer. These are little copper washers. You don't want to throw that away and get yourself 2 brand new ones, of course. If you don't already know the setup, it's banjo, washer, line, washer, and then you bolt it in. Alright, so I had the ugly lever fitted onto the master cylinder. This isn't the worst thing. At least I can do some testing and some mileage on this conversion to make sure it's all good, and while my lever is sent over to ASV for assembly / repair. So not the worst thing. It's gonna bug me a little bit, but you know, that's just what you gotta do sometimes. It's better than having no lever at all and not being able to ride. So we're gonna modify that microswitch, and then we're going to get the fluid out of the old reservoir, take the line off, put it on the new master cylinder, top it off, and start bleeding the clutch, and then seeing how it works. Now, as you can see, this is the reason I've been having the issues. The bike is on its kickstand and tilted the other direction. This is more upright than it normally is, and you can see the level of the fluid and how angled it is. I mean, the reservoir is not even remotely full. So there's the issue. You can kind of see it, but there's like a little bit of residue all the way around. I mean, it's coming all the way up here. This is the reason that you need to do a conversion if you put on clip-ons. Now, to remove the fluid that's in there, you can, if you have something to siphon it out, that works. I just use one of these little bottles and simply get the air out of it. Just like magic, it's empty, and now I have the fluid in here. There's still some fluid in there, so I can go back for seconds, potentially. That's about as much as I can get for right now, which should work. Should be good. So now whenever I crack this line off, I'm not going to have as much fluid come out, if any. But see, as you can tell, there wasn't much fluid in there to begin with. So, not good. Alright, now that I have the master cylinder onto the bike, there's no clearance issues anymore. What I'm going to do is go down to the clutch life cylinder, leave a little fluid out of there, so whenever I take the line off of the old master cylinder, it won't start gushing out and stuff. Yeah, you want to remove as much fluid as possible, because no matter what, you're going to have to bleed your clutch anyways, which is a super simple process, so no need to worry, guys. Everything has been going. Alright, I just removed some fluid from down at the clutch life cylinder, so now I'm going to remove the line, put it on the new one, tighten it down, and then get some fluid inside the new reservoir. Well guys, the reservoir is finally installed. I got the line hooked up. I haven't put any fluid in, still dry, just all looks good. There's no interference issues, operates really nicely. So we're gonna go ahead, put in the fluid, and then start to bleed the bike down. Just remember, crush washer, line, crush washer. You don't want to tighten that down too much. You don't really need that much torque. That's what the crush washer is for. But let's go ahead and do it. This is going to be the fluid I'm going to be using, .4. It's the same that you use on your brakes. Works for the clutch. Works really good. It's what I had in the bike before. And you always want to work from a sealed bottle. Really don't want to let this sit around open or anything for too long. Pretty much pour it in, put the cap back on, and just do that until you're done bleeding your brakes. Well, in this case, clutch. Okay, so I just topped off the reservoir. I put about a third of it in there and let it sit for a second. Make sure there was no leaks or anything up over here where I did all the connections. We haven't touched anything that's been down here. We're simply gonna put our hose onto the bleeder valve. It's a 8mm wrench, open, close, and of course you have to pump the clutch, and I'll show you guys that process right here. It's gonna be a little hard to do it by myself and not get in the way, so I'm gonna do my best of showing you guys how to do it. Alright guys, so unfortunately we're gonna have to cut it. You could replace it, but the micro switch that I got with this master cylinder was broken. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna cut right about there just so I can slide it in, and then I have the nut to put on there and we should be good. Alright guys, so the master cylinder is installed, it's working, it has a very nice fluid motion, there's no leaks here or here, and all the fluid has been circulated through there, all brand new Bel-Ray fluid, topped off. Make sure to top off your reservoir. Now for the micro switch, I ended up cutting off that bracket with my Dremel tool and then simply sliding into place, putting the nut on the opposite end, and every time I pull on the lever, you hear that clicking. You can actually see there's a pin right down there. And it's activating the micro switch perfectly. So everything seems to have fit. I will give you guys an update in the coming moto vlog on how it performs. Unfortunately, I can't get out there tonight to ride, but for the most part, here in the garage, rolling back and forth with the clutch, everything seems to be operational and no problems, but we'll have to do a full speed test to make sure everything that is good, but everything has worked. So if you haven't already, go check out part 1, which will be linked in the description, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them for you. See ya.
Caught up in my tape.